Just wanted to talk, that's all.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. Tuesday, April 15th. Today is the day the Titanic stunk. It's the day that Abraham Lincoln died after being shot by Booth the night before. So kind of an important day in history. Also, I believe the day that Jackie Robertson broke the color barrier in Major League Baseball. But last night, pretty good game. We got a pretty good pitching performance from Cookie Carrasco. Lots of home runs, some good defense from the Martian. So overall, just a really good freaking baseball game. But, good teams put together streaks, and the Yankees need to put together a winning streak. And to do that, first you got to win that second game in a row. So that's what the Yankees are trying to do tonight behind Max Fried. It's really difficult to put together any kind of winning streak when your pitching is, a little bit suspect. And even though we got a great start from Cookie Carrasco last night, pitching is not the Yankees' strong point thus far. And that makes Max Fried's start tonight much more important. Dante and Spinning Mantis, both loving the Cookie Monster. All right, so let's just talk about where this team is at 2 weeks into the season. I was going to film this outside. I did one of these outside, maybe a week ago. And it started drizzling, so I didn't want to get my electronics wet. So, just hop back in the studio, Who needs sunshine anyway? But Yankees are still 9-7, which is not amazing, but it's still good enough to be in first place in the American League East right now. Just taking a quick look at the division so far, the Red Sox are off to a tough start. They got absolutely dismantled last night, and the Blue Jays are off to a decent start. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen real quick. They're 9-8. They're a half game behind the Yankees. The Rays, 8-8, playing 500 ball so far. And the Orioles, 6-9, so off to a tough start, but still just 2.5 games back of the Yankees. So it's still early. A lot of things can change. But what's interesting is this NL West. Padres, 14-3. Giants, 12-4. Dodgers, 12-6. That division is going to be a beast. The Dodgers are as far out of first place as the Orioles are, who are in last place in the East. Mets, 11-5, off to a good start. I saw that Soto hit a home run last night. Good for him. But it's, the Rays are kind of hard to figure because sometimes they look great and sometimes they look like trash. I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens when the Yankees go down to Steinbrenner Field later this week. I think it's going to be a fun series for the Yankees because the ball has been traveling really well in that ballpark and the Yankees are used to hitting there. So I think you might see home run derby continue in Tampa. So let's go around the horn. Let's go ahead and talk a little bit about Austin Wells. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to pull up the baseball reference page for the Yankees while we talk about these guys, just so that we can kind of, have something to reference. So let me go ahead and share my screen here. So Austin Wells, you see the numbers there, just 208 with 3 home runs and 7 RBIs. I have seen some really good signs from Austin Wells over the past few days. Obviously, the home run last night. He had a couple of home runs knocked down by the wind. Also hit one off the right field wall the other day. Just missed being a home run by a whisker. So even though his numbers don't look amazing, he's been swinging the bat pretty well. And I think he's been a little bit unlucky. JC Escara has done a nice job as the backup. I'm interested to see if he's going to catch Max Fried tonight because the last time out, he caught Fried and Fried dominated with 7 shutout innings. And he's got a good swing. He's had 12 at-bats. He's 2 for 12, but I feel like he has not been overmatched. Paul Goldschmidt, he's somebody I have been vocal about. He's got 22 hits, which is tied with Aaron Judge for the team lead. Probably the league lead. He's hitting .367. He's got a .909 OPS, 163 OPS plus. Done an outstanding job, been a huge upgrade already over Anthony Rizzo. And I think he's heating up. He had a double down the line yesterday. He hasn't had a ton of power yet, but I think it's coming. I think he'll hit some home runs. Jazz Chisholm, he's going to be the focus of our inside edge data dive today, so I'll talk more about him in a minute specifically, but, kind of up and down. He's either been red hot or ice cold, which is not ideal, but smashing home runs in the Bronx. He's got 6 home runs and 11 RBIs, but only hitting 175. Of his 11 hits, more than half of them have been for extra bases. He's got 6 home runs and 2 doubles, so 8 of his 11 hits have gone for extra bases, but he's also struck out 24 times, which is obviously not ideal. Anthony Volpe, numbers not good so far. 211, 4 home runs, 13 RBIs. He's doing a decent job on defense, as always, but I just don't love the approach. I've been somewhat disappointed in seeing what he's doing this year. I don't think he's the kind of player that he's trying to be. He's trying to be a home run guy. Really, he should be focused on being an on-base machine and making problems with his legs. But he's gotten it into his head that he's a home run hitter. And so he's sacrificing a lot of that line drive approach that he had the first part of last year when he got off to such a great start for, power. And if you ask me right now, I think he's going to take a big step back this year in average and probably on base percentage, maybe even in OPS, depending on how the home runs look. But I could see him hitting 220 this year. And if that happens, you have to start considering George Lombard as the next shortstop of the Yankees, because Volpe will have been at that point 3 years in and a disappointment. But I'm just not impressed with what he's done so far. I'm sorry. Third base, Oswaldo Cabrera and Oswald Peraza have been splitting time. No home runs yet for Cabrera. He has a 611 OPS. Obviously not crushing the baseball. Peraza, 913 OPS with a home run and a couple of doubles, hitting 267. He's only got 16 at-bats compared to the 39 at-bats from Cabrera. They've been kind of platooning. I think it might be better for one of those guys to just take over and have the job, right? I would rather have one guy who plays every day and gets better than 2 guys who make marginal improvements because they're not getting a ton of consistent playing time in a platoon. Moving on into the outfield, Jason Dominguez. The numbers aren't amazing yet. 700 OPS, but he looked better on defense last night. He's got 4 doubles, which is tied for the second spot on the team with Aaron Judge. Paul Goldschmidt has 5. And he's got 5 ribbies, a couple of stolen bases. He has not been caught stealing yet in his major league career. 15 strikeouts, not a lot, but not great. He's susceptible to the backdoor breaking ball, it seems. I was pouring through some of the inside edge data this morning, and I was going to use him as my inside edge data report, but the numbers weren't great. So it was a lot of negative stuff, and I just didn't want to go there with him with a rookie. I think the last missing component for him is just to be able to hit from the right side. He looks good from the left side. You can see that he's playing with more confidence right now. I think that will bleed over into his offense. I think an offensive hot streak is coming soon. Might not be, beginning tonight. It might not be till it, gets a little bit warmer, but it's coming. In center field, Cody Bellinger is actually not looked at as the starter right now because of how little he's played. Trent Grisham has been getting the bulk of the opportunities because Bellinger had, the back stuff and the food poisoning from the wings. But Trent Grisham, we'll just start there, hitting 343 with 4 home runs and 10 RBIs, 1.125 OPS, and elite defense. His WAR, I'm surprised, is not higher, but it's already 0.6 in limited playing time in 14 games. That comes out to what? About a 6.5 WAR per season if you project it out. You figure half a win per month. Pretty good. And then Cody Bellinger just has not gotten going yet, hitting 191, but again, has not had steady playing time. Again, did not start last night. I expect him to be in there tonight. And Michael Wacha's on the mound, and I think that's a pretty good matchup for Bellinger. And then Judge. I mean, what can you say about Aaron Judge? He's got a 479 on-base percentage. Hard to beat that. 367 batting average, 6 home runs, 20 RBIs, 17 runs scored, 22 hits. I mean, he's just amazing. Again, 44 total bases. He's just a machine. And then Ben Rice, off to a phenomenal start, has, like I said, he's basically been to the offense what Luis Gil was to the pitching staff last year when Garrett Cole went down. He's done that job, but replacing Giancarlo Stanton. So, that's where we're at a couple of weeks in. We'll talk more about the pitching in another voicemail episode later this week. I want to see another start from Max Fried before I weigh in on that, and I want to see the bullpen continue to round into shape a little bit more. But let's talk a little bit about Max Fried, because he threw 7 scoreless innings his last time out. I thought he was absolutely phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. And tonight could be a good matchup for him. The Royals haven't seen him a lot. And like I said, it'll be interesting to see who's behind the dish, whether they go with Austin Wells, who's the starter and who had a home run last night, or if they go with JC Escarra, who caught him last time out. You don't want to, this early in the season, kind of pair somebody with a personal catcher, but he did such a good job that it's hard to say no to that. Also, last time out, he threw a lot of stressful pitches because the umpire was crap. So I'll be interested to see if there's any kind of adverse effects if he takes a step back. Would not surprise me. But it also wouldn't surprise me if he dominates. Both scenarios are plausible. I've always felt like the stressful pitches is more important than the total pitch count, right? So if a guy throws 102 pitches, but they're not very stressful, it's a lot. I feel like it's harder to throw 85 really stressful pitches with guys on base. So I'm really looking forward to seeing Max Fried. He's become so important to this rotation. He's 2-0. See if he can get to 3-0 tonight. All right, let's go to Inside Edge. We got Jazz Chisholm. Today is the subject of our Inside Edge Data Dive. 5 home runs with 2 strikes. First in Major League Baseball. All 6 of his home runs have been at home. You got to think that goes a long way to how he feels about playing at Yankee Stadium. I know mentally if I'm hitting all my home runs at home at my ballpark, and there's been a few that have been kind of cheapies, let's be honest. I think that will make him more likely to re-sign should the Yankees decide to re-sign him, but it's a bit too early for that. I would love to see it. I think he's a good player, and I think he's going to have a good year, but you want a guy who's going to hit higher than 175, and I think he will. He's a career 250, 260 hitter. 5 home runs on changeups from righties since 2024. That's second in Major League Baseball, which is impressive for a lefty because that ball sinks down and away when it's coming from a right-hander. And 54 stolen base attempts since 2024, 5th in Major League Baseball. And NostraDerek had another good night last night with the extra base hit prediction from Ben Rice. That was a win. And so far, NostraDerek 4 for 8 on the season, so hitting 500. Tonight, my prediction is that Michael Wacha will not complete 5 innings because I don't feel like he has the stuff to work through this lineup. He has not completed 5 innings in either of his previous 2 outings against the Yankees. Now, granted, last time we had Soto, but this time we got Ben Rice. So I'm predicting that the Yankees are going to get to Wacha tonight, and I think they'll hit him around a little bit. And just as an additional prediction, not an official prediction, good night from Jason Dominguez and a good night from Ben Rice incoming tonight. Possibly Paul Goldschmidt too, because he's heating up and he's had some success against Wacha. Quick word from our sponsor, Harry's, and then back with your voicemails, which I forgot to import, which I'm going to import. In sports, the difference between winning and losing is often razor thin, and it's great to have an edge. And that's what you get with Harry's Razors, the sponsor for today's episode. You might notice my beard is gone. I did that because I wanted to test out this razor that they sent me. I don't like to pitch things unless I try them myself. And I gotta say, I am very impressed with Harry's Razors. It comes with 5 blades. These are German engineered. They are extremely, extremely sharp. I shaved 2 days ago and my face still feels very smooth. I got the trial set. I really enjoy the weighted handle. It gives me like a nice feeling of control over the razor. I don't have to worry about cutting myself. Their trial set is $13, but using our exclusive link and code, you can get it for just $3. Go to harrys.com/stripe and you can get this trial set for $3 instead of $13. harrys.com/stripe.
What do you hear? What do you say?
What do you hear? What do you say? All right, we got some comments here. Dante Lozada says, Trent Bonds. He really has been swinging a bat great, hasn't he? He looks terrific. Yankees legend says trade Volpe to the Braves. I don't think so. I don't think they're going to deal him, but I have been disappointed in what we've seen so far. Even though he's done good defensively, I think he's leading the league in the defensive metrics, but offensively, he's just not the player he could be, and I find that disappointing. So, it is what it is. Yankees legend says better tattoo walk. I think they will. And Ben has been better than Soto so far. Well, we got a call here about Juan Soto, about that very subject.
How's it going? Ray from Long Island. Just giving another phone call in. Wanted to give my 2 cents on Juan Soto and the comments he made about not being behind Judge anymore, in front of Judge not being behind him. And again, this is just something that is just so incredible with this game that we watch. And I don't understand why people that are not cognizant of everything that goes on in baseball, maybe they haven't played before or anything like that, but the notion of the team and seeing what Judge and Soto did together last year, it makes total sense. And these contracts that are handed out to these players nowadays, length, longevity in their career, matching up with it. Granted, Soto was in his mid-20s, but the massive size of money, too, that they get paid to take up the percentages of the salary cap. I know Daddy Warbucks that owns the Mets now, but it's just something that's going to be changing in this game moving forward, and we have to expect that and understand it. And that's something as New York fans I feel like we really got to ascertain, because we're so spoiled between the Yankees being the juggernauts and the cash cows forever, basically, of our lives, and now the Mets, too, turning into that. We have to have our mindset focused on, like, this is going to be a real thing moving forward. And can't judge the guy for taking the money or anything like that, and he wanted to be his own guy. But I appreciate him as a Yankee this whole time, taking us to the World Series. I just hope that us as fans can just kind of live with it and appreciate the game moving forward.
Yeah, so interesting call. A lot of the calls we get about Soto are Soto hate. I did see that he made some comments about how he was being pitched differently, and in that comment, he did call Aaron Judge the greatest hitter in the league, which is interesting because about a week earlier, I saw him on an interview with Jeff Passan call himself the greatest hitter ever, right? I think it's clear that Judge is a better hitter than Juan Soto. But, I'm honestly just kind of tired of talking about Juan Soto. I would say I wish him the best, but I don't.
Hey, good morning, Derek. This is Dom from North Carolina. Hey, with starting pitching at such a premium, the idea the Yanks have a pitching guru in Matt Blake. What do you think of the idea of converting relievers into starters? Should teams be reassessing, how they evaluate pitchers and their roles? I think the book is still out on Clay Holmes, so he has looked good overall. I think he'd slot in his number 2 starter by ERA in our rotation right now, so I guess that just tells you something about the state of our rotation. But, you've got guys like Saltaluga who made the jump over, done really well. So just curious to get your take. Keep up the great work and keep sticking it to old crotchety Mick Ford man down there.
Yeah. Well, they did that with Michael King. They turned him into a starter, and he's obviously become extremely effective. Looking at just who they have in their bullpen right now, I don't think there's a lot of opportunities to turn any of these guys into starters. Tim Hill is perfect for the role he's in. Cruz doesn't throw enough strikes to be a starter. Luke Weaver's great out of the bullpen. You've got to have that kind of arm out of the bullpen. And Mark Leiter Jr., I don't trust him to be a starter. Ryan Yarbrough, he's just a situational lefty. Yoendrys Gomez has shown me nothing in terms of command of the baseball. He's got 8 walks in 7 innings. You don't want that as a starter. You don't want it as a reliever either. Brent Hedrick is in AAA. Maybe that's something they could do in AAA, but again, I don't even really know that much about his stuff, how it would translate. Ian Hamilton, again, he gets hurt throwing innings, in the rotation or in the bullpen. So you don't want to add more innings to his docket. And Adam Ottavino's not even on the team anymore. So I just don't see a lot of opportunities to make that happen. And generally, if someone can start in the minor leagues, that's where there will be. A lot of times relievers in the major leagues are failed starters. So, I mean, maybe you sign a free agent and try and convert him, but at this point, there's not really much the Yankees can do in terms of converting somebody to a starter. I would rather see them go out and make a trade, but nobody's making deals right now. But I've got my eye on Sandy Alcantara. I've got my eye on Michael King, but it looks to me like the Padres are not going to move anybody because they're playing so well. Miguel Castro says, cat, what does that mean? A cat is a feline. Felis catus is its taxonomic nomenclature. It's a predator. It's furry. It's designed for kicking, basically. No, I would never kick my cat. But they are a cat. It's a household animal. That's what I was referring to. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I will see you tonight after the game. Thanks for watching. Check out Harry's Razors, harrys.com/stripe, and get your $3 razor. I'll see you tonight. Hey, while I've got you here, be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Pinstripe Territory is the official Yankees podcast of the Foul Territory Network. We are home to the #1 most watched MLB postgame show on YouTube since 2021. We're here after every Yankees game and for reactions to all the best news and rumors during the offseason. Be a part of the show by calling into the voicemail 718-899-1068. Try to keep it clean for me. And if you ever miss us on YouTube, be sure and subscribe on all your favorite podcast platforms. Go ahead and rate us 5 stars. It'll help other people find the show. Thanks for watching. See ya.